Hi, everybody. We have here 4 people that are involved this way or another in the peripheral area, culturally, socio-economically, and we will try to speak about this matter. Actually, if we are looking today on Israeli challenges, probably the most complicated one is not Iran. It's not even global warming. I believe that the main issue going forward is the gap between the different layers in the country. And we will try to speak about it, try to see if there are some ideas how to at least working with these challenges. So I think we'll start with something like 2 minutes each to describe what we are doing, and then we'll open a discussion around it. So would you like to start?
Okay. Okay, thank you. I think that, I couldn't talk about what in my presentation, but I think that the issue of inclusion in a very heterogeneous culturally and socially country like ours, that, I really don't know of any other country that's more heterogeneous in population than Israel. The concept of inclusion is very important. There was one, in one of the slides that Dr. Alon presented, shows that 51% of the population has an academic degree. My question is, what age, okay, who are they, and for how long we can sustain that? And if we look at the population, and again, talking to the fact that only a very percentage of the population goes to academic studies, what do we need to do to bring in all these majority that are the minority segments of the population? And I think there's probably, that is the question, because otherwise, if we are not able to incorporate all this group into academia and later on to the job market, we are creating a very big problem down the road. Okay, it will be very good and it's wonderful to start a company with many, many successes, but how do we sustain that?
Okay. Good morning. While we are sitting here, by the way, and I think this is the best way to describe what we are doing, 5 Bedouin girls and 10 yeshiva boys are sitting right now and learning and studying virtually chemistry, mathematics for the Bagrut, for the matriculation exams. So I think this is the essence of, if I might describe what the Center for Educational Technology is doing and providing to the periphery of Israel. And they are sitting now at school. It is part of the day today in school and study virtually. By the way, the teacher is an excellent teacher. He's here in Ramat Aviv. He's a PhD in mathematics. And he provides them with the opportunity to complete the full cycle, full learning path to the Bagrut in chemistry and physics. And after they come back from school, during the afternoon, they have the opportunity to get a private lesson, virtual private lesson from students from all over Israel, or sitting via WebEx, which we collaborate with Cisco. And then they simply learn. And then they complete, of course, the exams in physics, mathematics. By the way, quite relatively in good grades comparing to the average in Israel. And then they have opportunities for later on, for jobs later on. It is an initiative of the Ministry of Education, led by CET, Matan, Center for Education and Technology, and with the collaboration with Cisco, as I mentioned, and philanthropy. One of the programs is simply a virtual high school, full 3 years of learning for everywhere in Israel, where we cannot open a class since there are not enough kids to open a sustainable class for a long period. And the second is simply virtual tutoring led by excellent students all over Israel.
Alon, introduce yourself. in 2 words.
And my name is Alon Mamlok. I'm leading the online learning in the CET, Center for Educational Technology.
Hi, good morning. My name is Miki. I lead the Ravtek software house. In one sentence, Ravtek is a high-end software house providing software services, expertising in the web, mobile, and DevOps domains. So what makes it special and relevant for this discussion? Ravtek was established about 6 or 7 years ago, back in 2013, with the purpose to be a workspace for ultra-Orthodox Haredi men, but in a way that will allow them to work as software programmers, but at the same time stay loyal to their core values and be able to maintain their lifestyle. So and what makes it even more special, I think, is the fact that this disruptive, I would say, initiative was visioned, funded and executed from within the ultra-Orthodox community by a brave rabbi named Rabbi David Leibel. Later on, a few veterans from the high-tech industry recognized the huge potential both for the social impact that this make and also the business potential, and joined the Rabbi Label to make and put investment in Ravtek to make sure that this initiative will flourish and succeed. So how it works, those ultra-Orthodox that are joining the program are going through a comprehensive, thorough training period of 18 months. If you count it in academic hours, actually is more than an academic degree. During this period, they're studying, we start with the core studies, obviously, because they are lacking English and mathematics. And then we teach computer science, and there's also a stage period where they are being integrated into real projects. See what is a customer, what is commitment, timelines, and so on. And they are graduating after 18 months, and they are being recruited by Ravtek as a junior software developers. I would say, and this is from what we see and our experience along the years, that their level in average, I would say, is no less and many times more than a graduate of a standard academic college. Ravtek today has 80 employees. Most of them are graduates of this training period. Over the years, we trained over 150 ultra-Orthodox guys. The vast majority is integrated into the workforce, 80 of them in Ravtek, but some of them in other companies. And we have big ambitions and plans to scale and grow in the future.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is Matan Yaffe. 6 years ago, I established an organization named Desert Stars with the goals of developing young Bedouin leadership. Today, the organization is quite large and includes 5 educational systems starting at the age of 14 and truthfully never ends. We escort them throughout college and then throughout integration into the workforce. That's it. The logic of what we do is that I believe that every child that is born, whether he's a Jewish child or a Bedouin child, are exactly the same. The blood is the same blood at the age of 0, but at the age of 3 days, each one will go to a very different reality that will reflect in unbearable gaps at the age of 20 and 25, and that's a failure of a market that we are very keen to solve. So we established a very strategic organization working within the Bedouin community, together with the Bedouin community, in order to completely do a revolution in the vector that this society is heading towards. Thank you.
Okay, so just to summarize, we have here a pure academy, we have here virtual high school, okay? We have here education for extreme Orthodox and education for Bedouin, right? Okay. One thing that you can for sure see is that amount of the people which are great, but in the end of the day are very small. You have 80 people, 300 people. How many people are learning as we speak now?
Total, we have 10,000 students.
Okay.
We want more, by the way. We want to multiply it, but 10,000.
Okay. And my first question will be, how can we grow these initiatives? Okay, is it only a matter of resources? Is it a matter of policies, government, or others? And I want to hear your opinion. Let's now start from the end over here.
I think it's always also a matter of resources, especially in the civil society. You need to make large investments, especially if you want to create a momentum. I think often I give lectures about leadership. And when I speak about leadership, I think that the key element in leadership is creating momentum in new direction. So obviously it's also resources, but it's also intentions. It's the understanding that the strength of the Israeli society is very much depends on the weaker layers, and we have, Israel needs to transform from a state of mind of survival into a state of mind of growth. And I think that because this is the startup nation, we now have also the responsibility and the ability to become the social startup nation. And I think that if we put our resources, not necessarily financial resources, but also energetical ones and intentions into understanding that this will serve the sustainability of the state, if we'll support the weaker layers to bring them to become part of the success story, it's definitely something that is doable and is transformative in the way that the state is going towards. And I will say that I think this is not a local problem. I think it's a global problem. The world used to be a world of majority and minority with a single narrative that everyone would relate to. And the world today is changing. Many, many different minorities with different stories, and each one goes to a different direction, which creates a massive social gaps. And I agree with what was said earlier, that the real threat on Israel, the real existential threat is what's going on within the society, and I think this is global. Take this complexity, density in a tiny geographical land, increased temperature in 10 degrees Celsius, this is the state of Israel. So we can definitely demonstrate how this can be different by putting energy, changing policies, and understanding that it's in our best interest not to invest the same in weaker societies, but much more.
So I'm not sure I understand. What do you think is the key barrier for you? What is the one that if there will be a change there, it will be a game changer?
I think that, politicians have a tendency to look very short term. And I think that if we really want to do a change, really, in our real intentions, we need to look for a much wider vision. And it's not always immediate gains, but definitely we need to change things and not ignore them. I think that we have tendency to close our eyes really tight and hope that things will go away. They don't. They just become way worse. And I think that if we really want to close the gaps between periphery and the center, we need to first declare openly that there is a massive problem and a disadvantage for anyone. Basically, you can know today the future of a child according to his zip code. This is a failure of market that needs to be solved. We need to solve it by first saying this is reality, and then do all the adjustments required in order to actually compensate and make sure this is not the reality, and mobility is something that is available for anyone.
Okay. Miki, when we are talking about extreme Orthodox, I think everybody now understands that we need to tackle this issue. Since we are talking about, I think you said that the growth there was 42% or something like this. So probably the issue is still we are not in the we still see the tip of the iceberg. Okay, so what do you think we need to do or to change in order to be able to scale from 80 to 800, 8,000, etc.?
So this is basically this is our vision. We don't aiming to stop here, but we want to grow Ravtek and to be a home for hundreds and one day maybe even thousands of ultra-Orthodox people. Again, that will be able to the key here is to let them stay loyal to their core values. I think, I mean, there are many elements and issues that needs to be tackled here, but I think if I need to put the finger on one thing, is that we need to be able to create a sustainable business model, to create an end-to-end flow that is self-sustained and it's not dependent on any external resources. I mean, the state is there and they want to help. From my experience, at least, with all the goodwill of the state and the people there, sometimes it gets very frustrating. It's not easy, so we need to take the responsibility inside and find a way how to build this business model that would work. And if there are profits and there is business, then I think at least in what we are doing, the sky is the limit because the population is there, and I mean, believe it or not, but they are highly motivated as well. They want to be part of the workforce. They just need, and there is a lot of talent there. They just need to get the right tools. And this is what we're trying to do. But I think the baseline is the business. As long as it will be profitable and sustainable and self-sustained, that's the key.
Okay. So I'd like maybe to combine these two answers, which first I think, and I'm echoing Matan here, is to make it as agenda. I mean, the virtual tutoring is a successful program, as I mentioned, 8,000 kids a year, and still it fights for its existence every year. So it is there, it is doable, it's not too expensive, and still we are fighting on this line of attention of the stakeholders and decision makers. So I think this is the first, to put it in the agenda, to make sure it is happening, because good solutions are all around. The second is, as you mentioned, I think, to create an ecosystem which allow this partnership. These two programs that I've mentioned are part from a partnership of the CET, Ministry of Education, philanthropy, and others. I mentioned Cisco as a high-tech company. So if we can collect and arrange this collective knowledge and these resources into one common target and goal, I think we can do a good together and create a collective impact. However, it's need the right ecosystem and the way to do it easier and smoother than today.
Without any doubt, I think that resources, you know, being a public school, resources is probably one of the main issues, okay? However, understanding the different cultures at the level of an academic institution is not less important. One of the big doubts that the Haredi population had is that we want them to teach them, so to break their culture. And when you show that this is not the case, we have right now about 800 students in academia, Haredi students, that have graduated. And some of them continue to medical school. And most of them are working as computer science technicians or biotechnology. So when they see that at the end of the day, you are not really trying to break the culture, but you understand their needs while you are teaching them, I think this is what is increasing the number, provided you have the resources, of course. The whole thing is also, as I mentioned before, it is forbidden for us to make the academic life easier for them. I mean, you need to keep a standard of academic education that is the same for everyone. And that's the difficult part. And you get students that come from different groups of society with certain vacuums. The Haredi, we all know what the vacuums are. Some of the Arab students don't know Hebrew. Or some of the newcomers from Ukraine or France do not know Hebrew. We have, so all these pre-academic programs that can bring them into a situation that they can engage in academia. And I think what you're doing is really, and you know, the Bedouin population, bringing them to a situation that they can later on, but you know, in order to have the numbers, we need the resources for all of us.
Okay, so I want to tackle this issue from a different angle. We are talking about, you know, the government and resources, the philanthropy organization, etc. I want to hear a little bit about the people themselves. Do they want to come? Do we have to push them? What are their barrier in order to come and you know, be, you want to start? Let's go ahead.
Because it's a very, I want just to share an anecdote. I joined Ravtek 2 years ago, and the framework is built in that way that in the morning they are studying Torah in the Kollel, and then around 11 or 12 o'clock they go upstairs to the software house and start their work as a software developers. So when I joined, I thought that I will have a challenge, kind of a conflict with the rabbi who leads the Kollel, that I will have to push them to come and do some software programming because they want just to spend all day in the Kollel. But very quickly I realized that actually it's the other way around. They are escaping the Kollel and they just go upstairs and start to do their development work because it's more interesting for them. So the point I'm trying to make here is that there are a lot of prejudice, a lot of prejudice and maybe misperceptions. But when you get to work with them on the everyday, then you, after a day or two, you don't see, you know, the way they dress or the way they look, but you see Yaakov and you see Moshe, and you realize they are exactly the same people like we are, and they want the same thing. And the motivation is huge. You'll be amazed.
Yeah, I agree, but you took the easy path, okay? You spoke about the ones that already join and already want to be there. I'm talking about the ones that are in the Kollel, have all these prejudices and don't know what is actually behind the walls. Okay?
So I'll give you some numbers, maybe, as an answer. The first cohort that we ran in 2013, for each cohort, 30 people are being accepted, and 20 normally are graduated. These are the statistics. So the first cohort, 80 people applied from the Kollels. And now we are running cohort number 7. There were 900 applications, and we had to screen the best 30 out of them. So I think this tells it all.
So I'd like to get back to the Bedouin girl, just as an anecdote, 1 minute, because it is not the girl who is studying, it is her sisters and brothers. I mean, they saw her. She has limited electricity, limited water supply in Batin, but she has this device. And with this device, she's learning with a virtual tutor. And her sister sees it, and she wants the same. And they want to make the dreams come true, and I think this is part of the story. I mean, it is, again, the society, the ecosystem, not only the one single learner.
So it's like a stone in the water, okay, you start these circles, yeah.
Actually, they do want to come. However, their environment sometimes doesn't let them go in, okay? So I think that the success stories in their own communities is what pushed them. I mean, when they see that one succeed, obtain a degree, goes to work, and his standard of living increases, okay, this pushes social mobility within the community. Now, the other thing that happened is that those that make that commitment to come, they really made quite the decision within the, especially in the Haredi community. It's not an easy decision. So they really follow it up and they want to succeed. With the Arab population, they really want to come. You need to provide all what is missing so that they can really be engaged into the community, and then, of course, make sure that they get the job.
Okay. Matan, you want to add something?
I'll just say that I once sat with a potential partner and tried to kind of bring him to support Desert Stars, and he told me, you know, what do they complain? Look at Syria, they're much better off. But it's a crucial mistake because they don't look at Syria, they look at Tel Aviv. And their dreams is our dreams. And there is a massive gap that needs to be solved. It needs to be done in, in an elegant way that respects their culture, because they have the same dreams. They also have all kind of barriers that needs to be tackled, but they need to be tackled intelligently and insensitively in order to actually allow them to take part in the success story that we are.
Okay. We have 2 minutes, okay? So I want a quick run to hear one thing that if you can get tomorrow, something that can be achieved, okay? One thing that you are asking from someone. It could be the government, it could be the people here, I don't know. Who want to start? Yeah.
If there's one thing I want to ask from the government, from the state, is I don't want any philanthropy or subsidies. Just give us work to do. That's it.
Give us, sorry?
To do the work, let us win some business of the government, but in a fair way, because we are so small, it's difficult for us to win. And if you're not good enough, replace us. That's it.
Okay.
I think that, when I work with these kids, I admit that I'm 5th generation in Israel, very Zionist, very kind of grew up on a mainstream narrative. And what I learned to understand is how difficult it is to be an Arab in Israel. And the way we work very hard to create the change makers within the Bedouin society, it's crucial, at least at the same level, that we, as a society, will allow them to integrate and to change and to feel that they belong to this story, which we're very bad in doing. So this is what I would ask everyone that sits in this room and outside of the room as well.
Okay, thank you. Matan? Sorry.
Alon. I would like from them to go with us shoulder to shoulder with these successful programs and understand that we can leverage the technology and make it and offer much more solutions to the periphery. Technology does not replace the teacher. However, it allows high quality and accessible education, and it is here. And we can do it anytime, any place, any pace, just do it together.
Okay.
I would like them to make inclusion and diversity a priority and to give the resources to be able to do it.
Okay. Actually, I thought this session is going to be a fighting session, very aggressive about, and eventually it's become very optimistic, and which is nice. But of course, we are just in the beginning of this route, and we have so much to do. 1 second, this is it. We are just on time. So thank you very much, everybody. My name is Yoav, and I host this one.